much. Arthur Beasley from the Financial Times. What exactly would be discussed at a meeting with Israel under the association agreement? And are you concerned at the intensification of the settlements policy that we've seen in very recent times? Thank you.
I think the European Union released the clearest statement when it comes to the expansion of the settlements, or rather the announcement last 1st of February to build further settlement units. You will always hear very clear words from the European Union on this. This is based on our legal assessment. We consider settlements illegal from an international point of view. And we consider that they do not help at all. On the contrary, they make it more difficult to achieve a two-state solution. That is the outcome that the Israeli government still refers to as the end game of negotiations. So we believe that no unilateral steps should be taken that could endanger the results of a negotiation, a direct negotiation aiming at the two-state solution. This is a very clear position the European Union has, continues to have, and will continue to have. When it comes to the Association Council, we decided today to start preparing the Association Council. So the exact content and scope of this will be discussed now and decided at 28 by unanimity. Normally, what I can share with you is that an Association Council normally is the institutional moment when the two parties, the European Union on one side, European Union with member states, all of them, and the partner, exchange on, first of all, bilateral issues. We have a lot of files on which we work bilaterally with Israel, including some issues that are of relevance to the Israeli society, also to the European society, and also, obviously, some of the regional and foreign policy issues. And for sure, this will also be part of our discussions. And again, I would like to stress the fact that the Association Council is, yes, the formal moment when this takes place, and preparations start now, but contacts and exchanges and work continues to be constant, both with the Palestinian and the Israeli side. I had meetings with relevant ministers just, I think, exactly 2 weeks ago in Barcelona, at the margins of the Union for the Mediterranean, and constantly telephone contacts and meetings. So this will continue. It's a regular work we carry on with both parties.
Nureddin.
Madam Mogherini, very often we have been told that the European Union is dealing with the relevant authorities on the ground in Libya. And the eastern part of Libya, Mr. Haftar, is controlling a wide area, liberated it from Daesh and other terrorist groups. Why the European Union is not even mentioned, Mr. Haftar, in the communique of today? And if you allow me a second question, the European Union do not like walls, of course, but when it comes to the African migrants, the European Union is building for them or encourage for them camps in a very unsafe country, as Mr. Sigmar Gabriel said this morning.
I would like to thank you for especially this second question. On the first one, I have no problem in answering it very quickly. I can mention after, obviously. But when you see in the communique and you hear in my words our support to the regional and international efforts, including the one that Tunisia is bringing forward, is exactly to facilitate a dialogue between Prime Minister Sarraj and General Haftar. This is a work we support. We see the need for all players in Libya to try and find their common ground to unite the country. We recognize the government of national accord, as we recognize the legitimacy that comes from the UN Security Council resolution. This is the basis of our international work always. But we encourage dialogue, we encourage engagement, and we encourage coming together. And here, again, the European Union is not there to dictate or impose or indicate even solutions that is only up to the Libyans to define, but we will be always at the side of the Libyans and of the regional players to accompany any effort to unite the country and unite the players that can unite the country. When it comes to the migration, I thank you very much for the question, because it provides me the opportunity to clarify very clearly, sorry for using the term twice, what we are doing and the intentions and also the results that we are looking for in our work. We have a situation in this moment when we managed to save 32,000 people only last year in the international waters off the coast of Libya. And this is, together with the dismantling of the traffickers' network, our primary objective. Saving lives, protecting lives, and dismantling the trafficker networks. In Libyan territorial waters, only last year died 4,500 people. In Libyan territorial waters, it's not a place where Operation Sophia or the European Union or an international presence can operate. This is a responsibility of the Libyans. Otherwise, it would be a violation of sovereignty. And we know how much it is important and relevant that sovereignty is exercised by the Libyans themselves. This is why we're working so much in helping the Libyan Coast Guards and Navy, and we hope we manage to be even more outreaching in terms of scope we'll manage to cover. But again, we have already the second group that has started the training, in order to allow them to take control of their territorial waters and their coasts, in order to do exactly the same things we do in the international waters. First, save lives, and second, dismantle the traffickers' networks. This at sea. But we are also doing, as you know very well, because I repeated it several times here, work south of Libya. With the IOM, we are financing a presence in Agadez to support, assist, advise, in some cases save stranded migrants that cross the desert before they get to Libya, because we know very well that the security situation and the human rights situation in the camps in Libya is awful. And so we try to assist the migrants before they get to the Libyan border. And you know that the results, if I am not wrong, are of registering a drop from 76,000 roughly of migrants passing through Agadez in last May to 11,000 last November or December. This means that assistance in the desert is starting to pay off. But then we cannot ignore, and exactly because we care about human rights, we cannot ignore the fact that there are migrants inside Libya already. We are not bringing migrants into Libya. On the contrary, we are trying to prevent smugglers to bring migrants into Libya or to exploit their desperation. But we cannot close our eyes in the front of the fact that there are migrants in this moment trapped in these detention camps in Libya. How do we want to face this situation? How does the international community want to react to that? Do we have the courage to face this? And what is the answer to that? Now, the European Union has identified one way to manage this situation and save the people that are now in the camps, now, today, as we speak. Women, children, I heard those stories. I heard the stories. The only way is to let the IOM, the UNHCR in the camps. This requires the cooperation of the Libyan authorities, the government, the municipalities, hopefully others, the cooperation of the Libyans, needs some security, which is probably one of the most difficult things to fix, and needs financial support. We are trying to work on all these three things. And more than anything else, we're working together with the IOM and the UNHCR and the Libyans to try to solve, or at least to tackle, the dramatic humanitarian condition of the migrants inside Libya. If you don't do it, what will be their destiny? It will not disappear simply because you refuse to look at it. So, sure, it's a difficult situation. We are taking responsibility for something that is happening not in our territory, but we cannot see these people either dying or living this way without doing anything. So this is the work we are doing and we're going to do, trying to bring the UN agencies to do the work that they can do with the proper human rights standards, with the proper international standards, in camps that today have no or almost no international access or international control. It's going to be a big effort. To me, it's a little bit of a paradox that while we try to improve the living conditions, to save lives, and to solve a problem that, again, is not happening on the European waters or in the international waters on the European territory. That you have to ask to another commission. But it's something happening in another sovereign country. We're trying to help because we cannot stand seeing the situation, the human rights situation, as it is.
Franziska Bruch, German news agency KNA. The question goes in the same direction. German politicians discussed today a lot about the reception facilities for migrants in other northern African countries, but not Libya. And I would like to know if this was discussed today at any point, and if you see it as feasible, and as you touched upon it, if IOM and UNHCR go into the camps in Libya, would that also be then safe legal ways to the European Union? Will there be like a number of people that then can come to the European Union, or not at all?
We didn't discuss the presence of camps in other countries in North Africa. My advice would be to be very careful with that because our effort is to stabilize and strengthen the resilience of countries around Libya, starting from Tunisia. And we need to take care of their fragile, still economic and social situation, not to mention the security situation. But we didn't discuss that. It was not an option that came to the table in our conversation today, nor in the Malta summit on Friday, nor in the preparation of our works. On the second question, for sure, when the UNHCR manages to operate in a center, and then identify someone as someone in need and having the right to international protection, then the UNHCR starts a resettlement program. And those persons are resettled, being it in Europe, being it in Canada, or in the United States, that I don't know, or elsewhere in the world. But again, here it's more for the UNHCR to answer. Our way, and I would like this to be very clear, is managing the flows. It's not the wall, it's not keeping people out. It's a different way, it's a European way of managing something that is extremely complicated to manage, putting human lives, human rights, and the fight against the criminal organizations first. And this goes together with the partnership and the cooperation with the countries of origin, countries of transit, and strong partnership and cooperation with UNHCR, IOM, and UN system. So it's a completely opposite manner than others that you're seeing around these days.
Jacopo.
Jacopo Ragazzi from Politico. Good evening, High Rep. Just two questions. First of all, I was wondering if after General Haftar went to that Russian air career 3 weeks ago, if you discussed today Russia's stronger role in Mediterranean, and if you see it more as a threat or as a chance in order to stabilize Libya. And secondly, I didn't really understood what you said about Egypt. Just to make it very clear, is it a migration compact in the pipeline with Egypt? No.
Okay. No. On this question, no, clearly not. We have with Egypt partnership priorities discussed. Egypt is one of the countries that fall under the neighborhood policy instrument we have. Sorry, this becomes a bit technical, but you are from the Brussels bubble by definition, so you know what I'm referring to. So what we have with Egypt is the common effort to establish a dialogue that is quite specific, but that has instruments that are framed in our bilateral relationship, which is that of a neighboring country. On Russia, I discussed this not only with the ministers today, but most of all with Lavrov on Friday. We discussed mainly about, as I said, Ukraine, Libya, but also Syria. That was not on the agenda today. These were the three main issues we discussed. And both on Libya and Syria, we decided to find ways to join efforts and cooperate. We'll discuss more at length and in depth. I believe next week we'll have a bilateral meeting to try to facilitate, as I said, Haftar and Sarraj coming together. We have a clear point of view, as you know. We fully support the work of Prime Minister Sarraj and the Presidency Council. But again, we are ready to accompany any process wanted by the Libyans, and on the basis of the Libyan political agreement and on the basis of the international legitimacy enshrined in the UN system, that could help uniting the country. And if we can work together with the Russians in that respect, that can only be a positive thing, but we will have to see if and to what extent this could be possible.
Philippe.
Last, because then I have a...
Thank you, Philippe Renier, newspaper Le Soir. Madame Mogherini, do you already know who and when you're going to meet in Washington later this week? And what will be the main messages you will convey to them, apart from the two-state solution and probably the location of embassies in Israel? Thank you.
The location of our embassy is not going to change, so I have nothing to report to that. I think the program is still on the making. I'm going to have meetings for sure in Congress, White House, and we were finalizing the others. But as I told you, and I'm sure that my team can share tonight or maximum tomorrow with an official statement all the meetings I'm going to have, which I don't have in mind now. But in any case, from now, for sure I'm meeting General Flynn, for sure I'm meeting Kushner, and several senators and congressmen, and we are in the making of arranging meetings with Tillerson and Mattis, either in Washington or in Europe, depending on the time management as well. But as I told you, we have now 2 weeks and a half. My visit in Washington will be a first round of visits, not complete. Then a second round of meetings, Brussels, Bonn, Munich next week. And then a third element of the visit of Vice President Pence here in Brussels to the European institutions and NATO. So in next 2 weeks, I will have a complete round of meetings with my US interlocutors. And the main message, more than a message, it will be a dialogue, hopefully, would be to identify common ground on which files we want to cooperate strongly together. On other files, there might be divergences. So I would expect that we would go on the whole list of files and see on the basis, on our side, on the basis of the clear EU positions, where our interests and views converge, in what way we can work together, and especially on the things on which, for the European Union, it's a priority that the international community manages to work together. An efficient UN system, the climate change implementation agreement, the Middle East, Syria, Libya, Ukraine, and I could continue with a few others. So we will have a full range of issues to discuss. But I'm particularly happy, I have to tell you, that some of our meetings will take place in Washington, some others will take place in Europe and in Brussels. And I particularly value the visit of Vice President Pence to the European institutions. I think this is a very important political sign as well.
Thank you very much. As you've heard, we have to wrap up, but we'll have other opportunities in the future. Thank you very much for coming.